I mean, yeah, this is an interesting question, and I don't think the theoreticians have a good answer about like exactly why this happens a ton in some languages, but not in others.
Yeah, when does it get wrong with paper? Water.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you need to read it or in dialect of English. But yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
With the example of the kid prefix, does the voicing only happen with stops? Because you didn't do it with the H. So if there were a word photo and you wanted a word for like an album, would it be tin photo or tin photo?
I have explicitly designed it so it's just restricted to stops, and that is a sort of personal decision. I think there are actually languages out there that some of them will voice or do other things after nasals with fricatives, but I more or less made the executive decision just to do it with stops. Yeah. Didn't mean to get defensive. Yeah.
During these real theorists discuss, I don't know if it's a specific term, but these phonemes that affect other phonemes around them specifically. So, for example, in Blackboard, one of my favorite words is umakadayo, which is, you have the stem, which is nadayo, but it's broken by the prefix, which is na. So that's specific with that N in Blackboard. So I'm wondering, is that something that's been taken into account by any of these theorists, or something to read up on?
Let's see. I mean, surely there's been some literature that has discussed this, but
it's just strange to me that you would redefine stem. Is essentially what's happening with this theory, right?
yeah, and certainly one of the things that I think is an issue for Israel approaches is it's not necessarily obvious what counts as a stem, whereas like what is a word and what is a phrase seems to be a little clearer, and so certainly I think with the code phonologies approach, they have assumed that sort of every kind of morphological combination can kind of have its own specific phonology. Some of it maybe is in line with sort of all the other words in the language. Others might be just specific to that, but that might be at least a way of dealing with some of the exceptions. But yes, in some instances, some languages are like, why are you doing that? That's crazy. Speakers learn it and they seem to enjoy using it throughout their lives, so yeah.
I was really glad to see you make the point about alternation in conlangs. I definitely love to see that. I'm wondering though, how do you feel about natural versus unnatural conditioning for the author? So, for example, suppose you're in your conlang, you'd like to have a phonological rule that says obstruents are voiced in word final position. Okay, now, I don't know any Nat language, it's very contrary. But would that be a fun thing to do? Would that be a dangerous thing to do?
I mean, I guess to each their own. I would personally not be very excited to do that because I am.
Some guy on the subreddit of the conlang subreddit tried to do a conlang that and
to have
people did not like
a
it
rule where where you voice an obstruent at the end of the word. So it's like anti-German or
anti-Russian, yeah.
I think there's a competing example.
Well, yeah, there was some discussion around, I think, like the middle of the aughts about maybe lesbian and also possibly Somali, whether they have like these sort of unnatural sorts of rules or not. And so, yes, I mean, theoreticians are still sort of is this sort of thing possible? I would say that it does seem to be the case with morphologically conditional alternations that you can get a lot more unnatural things going on. And I guess if I was inclined to be like, let's throw something unnatural in there, that's in a morphologically conditional alternation is where I my sticking in of something a little more unnatural.
Just a comment about phonologically conditional alternations. I have found over the years that sometimes they sneak in without you noticing them. And so it's always interesting and important, I think, to talk to yourself in your online and hear what comes out. I discovered at one point that I was raising my mid-vowels before certain consonants and no puna, and I hadn't realized I was doing that. But of course, as soon as I noticed that I was doing that, in it went into the grammar, right? Because obviously that's what Akuna speakers do. Right? So especially for phonologically conditioned alternations, if you sort of listen to yourself talk in your language and disturb other people around you by talking in your language, sometimes you'll find that you've made them without even noticing it.
Yeah, and one of the things, so in thinking about a topic for this talk, I was thinking about what students in my own constructed languages class were sort of struggling with. And we did phonology and morphology sort of in the early part of the year, and it seemed like, well, they aren't really getting this whole alternation thing. Might be a good thing to talk about for LCC, but then later, by the time they actually submitted their final grammars at the end of the semester, they actually did have some alternations in there, and I think it was more just they worked with their language and realized, oh yeah, when I stick this bit with this other bit, I'm going to need to change something, or otherwise it's going to sound awkward. And so experimentation can lead you to these somewhat natural